Learning objectives. In this chapter, the users would learn the following aspects of drive systems: various parts of FDD, types of floppies, geometry of floppy, various recording formats, interface signals, floppy drive alignment, track 0, adjustment, formatting of floppies. Types of hard disk drives: IDE, EIDE, SCSI. Geometry of hard disk drives, types of formatting, partitioning and handling of hard disk drive, zip drive functioning, CD drive and CD writer functioning, handling and repair. Mouse and keyboard, wired and wireless types, basic functioning, interfacing and installation. Disk drive. A disk drive is an electronic rewritable storage device for a computer. This storage device acts as a housing of disk drives. In this, storing can be done either internally within a computer or externally in a separate box that is housed outside a computer. In earlier times, this term was related to floppy drives only. However, in modern technical world, this term mainly relates to hard disk drives. It can be found everywhere in PCs, servers, laptops, and even in storage arrays. Functioning of disk drive. Disk drive functions by rotating at a rapid speed around head or heads. This rotation helps in reading or writing the data. These drives are different from solid-state drives. The SSDs carry no movable parts but offer great performance, but they cost more than the disk drives and offer less capacity. The disk drive works in two principal technologies. They are the Integrated Drive Electronics IDE and Small Computer System Interface SCSI. The disk drive can be floppy disk drive or hard disk drive. Floppy disk drive FDD. Floppy disk drive or FDD is a device that reads all the stored data information. It is used to save data in removable diskettes. When it was invented, this drive was one of the first types of portable hardware storage device which could be used both for reading and writing. However, nowadays several other storage devices are available. Some examples are USB and network file transfer. Besides, there are many other storage devices that have replaced the old floppy drives. History of FDD. The history of floppy disk drives reveals the invention of the first floppy drive in the year 1967. It was invented at IBM. The very first floppy drive used a 12-inch disk, which was then replaced by an 8-inch disk. The testing of the 5.25-inch disk was done first on the IBM personal computer. At that time, the 5.25-inch disk contained 360 kilobytes. This capacity can be compared with today's 3.5-inch disk that contains 1.44 megabyte. The limitations of the 5.25-inch format soon became clear. Originally designed to be more practical than the 8-inch format, it was itself too large. As the quality of recording media grew, data could be stored in a smaller area. A number of solutions were developed with drives at 2, 2.5, 3, and 3.5 inches. They all shared a number of advantages over the old format, including a rigid case with a sliding metal cover over the head slot, which helped protect the delicate magnetic medium from dust and damage, and a sliding write protection tab, which is far more practical than the adhesive tabs used with earlier disks. Floppy disks versus hard disks. The invention of hard disks relegated floppy disks to secondary roles of data transfer and software installation. The invention of the CD-ROM and the Internet, combined with the increasingly large size of software files, is threatening even these secondary roles. The floppy disk still persists, basically unchanged for over a decade, in large part because of its universality. 3.5-inch, 1.44 MB floppy is present on virtually every PC made in the last 10 years, which makes it still a useful tool. Role of FDD. The floppy disk drives play crucial roles in several working areas. They can be used for data transfers, small file storage and backup, and software installation and driver updates. Data transfers. The floppy disk drive still holds importance in performing the main function of transferring files. It is still used as the most universal means of transferring files from one PC to another. With the help of compression utilities, even moderate-sized files can be converted into floppy disk. When conversion is made, anyone can transfer the file from one PC to another. This is done with the assurance that the another PC at the other end can read the file easily. Small file storage and backup. In the areas of small file storage and backup, floppy disks are used. The disk allows only unrealistically small amounts of data storage. Software installation and driver updates. Though popularity of floppies has declined over time, many new parts of hardware still use floppies. This is done to distribute the driver software and similar files. It's not that there is no importance of floppy drives in modern PC. It still holds an important role in modern PC, especially in software installation and driver updates. Operation of FDD. The operation of floppy disk drives works through a spindle motor in the drive that rotates the magnetic medium. There is an operation mechanism inbuilt in stepper motor that helps in moving the magnetic read-write heads along the surface of the disk. While operating read-write heads, a rotating medium is required. When the medium rotates, a current is sent to the coil of the head that helps in writing data. There is a magnetic field in the head that aligns with the magnetic particles present below the head on the media. When a reverse current is passed through the head, the particles align the opposite direction, thereby encoding the data digitally. For recording data, a tiny voltage is induced by the magnetic particles present in the media. A blank unformatted disk carries a coating of magnetic oxide. When a disk is formatted, the magnetic particles are aligned, thereby forming a pattern of magnetized tracks which are further broken into sectors. These sectors enable the controller to read and write data. The tracks are basically the concentric rings around the center. These tracks carry spaces between wherein no data is allowed to get written. Also, some gaps with padding bytes are provided between the sectors and the end of the tracks. Each sector of data holds a header. The header helps in identifying the sector location on the disk. To detect possible errors, a cyclic redundancy check is written over the sector headers along with the end of the user data. The potential errors can be detected through the help of a disk controller. Apart from this, prevention of the disk from accidental emerging can be done through the help of a catch or lever, which is manually lowered. FDD connections. With the help of floppy drive cables, you can easily connect two drives to each system. The two drives can be designated as Drive A and Drive B. You can determine the position on the cables and analyze whether it is A or B cable. The setting of the drive type can be made in CMOS. Also, connection of the cable to the drive pin can be made in serial order. It means that pin 1 on the cable is connected to the pin 1 on the drive and so on. Before attaching the drive with the system, you need to clarify the positions of cables and power connectors. Different drives use different type of connectors, such as 5.25-inch drive use a Molex connector and a 3.5-inch drive uses a Burr connector. Whatever connector is being used by the system, it is connected through one way only. Parts of FDD. A floppy disk is made from a thin piece of plastic. It is coated with a magnetic material on both sides. Also, the tracks in the disks are arranged in concentric rings. The disk spins like a record inside the drive. The parts of the drive work to provide direct access storage. In this, the heads of the disk move towards a correct track, thereby providing the user what is searched for. As technology advanced, floppy disks were finally able to read and write. The four components of FDD are the read-write head, head actuator, spindle motor, circuit board, and FDD controller. Read-write head. It performs a function of reading and writing data on the floppy disk. This is done by converting the binary signals to electromagnetic signals. Head actuator. It enables the read-write head to attain access over all the tracks on one side of the floppy. It moves the read-write head forward and backward with the help of the stepper motor. Stepper motor. It helps in spinning the floppy disk in the floppy disk drive. In addition, it holds a clamp that catches the floppy disk when it enters the device. Circuit motor. It connects all the parts of the FDD together. It holds the circuits that send the data signals to different parts of the FDD. Further, it also helps in controlling the speed of the motor and managing the positions of the read-write head. FDD controller. It helps in the formation of the interface between the FDD and the system. It acts as a controller of the floppy disk drive. It is a card that is affixed on the motherboard. Read-write head. The read-write heads are actually located on both sides of the disk. Both of them move together on the same assembly. It performs the function of reading and writing data on the floppy disk. This is done by converting the binary signals to electromagnetic signals. The heads are positioned aside from the direct opposite places. This is done to prevent interaction between writing operations. One head is used for reading and writing, while another head is used to erase the track prior to writing. This allows the data to be written on a clean state. Head actuator. Head actuator is a device that helps in positioning the read-write heads over the correct track. It enables the read-write head to attain access over all the tracks on one side of the floppy. It moves the read-write head forward and backward with the help of the stepper motor. A floppy disk generally contains 80 tracks per side. As stepper motor turns, the head actuator moves through various stop positions. The several stop positions moves the heads in and out one or more position. Stepper motor. The stepper motor makes a precise number of revolutions. The revolutions move the read-write head assembly and position it over the proper track position. It helps in spinning the floppy disk in the floppy disk drive. In addition, it holds a clamp that catches the floppy disk when it enters the drive. Originally, stepper motors were used for the head actuators of hard disks along with the floppy disks. You can fasten the read-write head assembly with the help of stepper motor shaft. Drive motor. The drive motor is a kind of small spindle motor that engages the metal hub at the center of the disk. It helps in spinning the disk at around 360 rotations per minute. It also serves as an indicator of the spinning disk speed. The rotations made by the disk helps in recording the frequency made by the disk. If the disk spins too slowly, the frequency is low. This makes the data unreadable by the magnetic floppy disk. If the motor spins too fast, it is difficult to write the necessary information. Circuit board and mechanical frame. The circuit board contains all types of electronics which are needed to handle the data, either in the read form or written form on the disk. It connects all the parts of the FDD together. It holds the circuits that send the data signals to different parts of FDD. Further, it also helps in controlling the speed of the motor and managing the positions of the read-write head. The mechanical frame is a system of levers that provide a little protective window on the disk. This protective window allows the read-write heads to have interaction with the dual-sided disk media. FDD controller. FDD controller helps in the formation of the interface between the FDD and the system. It acts as a controller of floppy disk drive. It is a card that is affixed on the motherboard. It actually serves as a piece of hardware that is responsible for creating the interface between the floppy disk drive and the rest of the system in personal computers. Geometry of floppy. The term geometry refers to the organization of the disk's data structures. For hard disks, this is a complicated issue due to the use of physical, logical, and translated geometry. For floppy disks, it is quite simple. The geometry refers to the number of disk surfaces, the number of tracks per surface, and the number of sectors per track. All floppy disks use the same number of sectors for each track, despite the fact that the inner tracks on a disk are much smaller than the outer tracks. This is not the case for hard drives. All floppy disks use both sides of the disk and therefore always have two heads and surfaces. The only important parameters are the number of tracks and the number of sectors. While hard disks are always referred to as having cylinders, floppies are sometimes said to have cylinders or tracks. Each floppy disk format or size has a specific geometry, unlike hard disks which vary from disk to disk. Recording formats of FDD. There are two types of recording formats used for storing data on the disks. These are frequency modulation, modified frequency modulation. Frequency modulation. In this method, every data bit cell starts with a flux transition. A clock is recorded at the beginning data bit cell. If a data bit 1 has to be written, a flux transition is recorded in the middle of a bit cell. Modified frequency modulation, MFM. In this method, no clock pulse is recorded at the beginning of a bit cell. Similar to FM, a flux transition is recorded in the middle of a bit if the data bit to be recorded is 1. If a data bit 0 has to be written next to a data bit 1, then no flux transition is recorded at all. Only if a current and a preceding data bit level is 0, one pulse is recorded at the beginning of a bit cell. You can store double the data in the same area if you use MFM recording format instead of FM. The recording format is decided by the operating system. Types of FDD. Floppy disk drives are made available in different sizes and they are generally classified by their size names. 5.25-inch. Desktop computers are those personal computers that you come across in business institutions, ATMs and offices. They have the second largest market among all kinds of PCs. They are unportable and long-lasting. 3.5-inch. Laptop computers are personal computers. As the name goes, it is a portable computer which is usually a lightweight PC. The special feature is that it is far lighter than a desktop PC, and being a wireless system, you can use it even when there is a power cut or you are away from home where electricity is not available. Handheld computers or palm tops. Palm tops, like laptops, are portable personal computers which are even smaller and lighter and can be carried in a pocket. Ideally, a palm top is used for storage of personal information like phone numbers and appointments. Nowadays, with the improvement of technology, palm tops come with colored monitors, sound recording facilities, and even provision for access to the internet. Tablet personal computers. Tablet PCs are mostly used in graphics work. It is an electronics device that utilizes digital ink to write or draw directly on the monitor of your PC. Workstations. This is slightly different from the regular PC in the respect that it has evolved from the mini-computers. Originally used for engineering, graphics and such other non-personal work or technical work, workstation computers were designed for the purpose of singular interaction of computer with one person at a time. Formatting of floppies. Formatting of the floppies can be done in both Windows and MS-DOS. Windows. To format a floppy disk in Microsoft Windows, insert a blank disk or the disk you want to erase in the disk drive. Open My Computer. Right-click the floppy disk icon and from the displayed options, select the Format option. MS-DOS. To format the floppy disk in MS-DOS, insert a blank disk or the disk you want to erase in the disk drive. After inserting, type the command Format Drive Name and then press Enter. A confirmation message is displayed asking if you want to erase all the information on the disk. If you want to continue, press either Y or Yes. Upon pressing, all the information from the floppy disk is erased. HDD. It is a data storage device that is used for storing and retrieving digital information. It performs a storing and retrieval function by using its rapidly rotating disks, which are coated with magnetic material. It is basically the main and the largest data storage device in the computer. It helps in storing operating system, software, and most other files. It is generally abbreviated as HDD. In personal computer, the hard disk drive acts as a mechanism that helps in controlling the positioning, reading, and writing of the hard disk. Though hard disk and hard disk drive are different from each other, they are related and can be summarized as one unit. HDD interfaces. Hard disk drive works on several interfaces which are utilized to pass data between the hard disk and a computer. Most common interfaces are IDE and SCSI. The hard disk drive retains the data when it is powered off. In this, individual blocks of data can be stored despite following any particular order. Under this, data is read in random access manner. It actually consists of one or more rapidly rotating disks with magnetic heads. The heads are arranged on a moving actuator arm that helps in reading and writing data to the surfaces. The main characteristics of a hard disk drive are capacity and performance. History of hard disk. Hard disks were invented in the 1950s. In the early years, they were in the form of large disks which could hold only a few megabytes of capacity. At that time, they were called as fixed disks. Generally, a hard disk drive consists of many parts like a motor, spindle, platters, actuators, read-write head, frame, air filter, and other electronics. The very first computer that incorporated a hard disk was RAMAC made by IBM. This computer was built for the 1960 Olympics, mainly to record the sports results. Since then, many developments have taken place. Likewise, in 1962, removable disk packs were introduced. In 1964, the CRC algorithm was introduced. Early development of hard disks. In 1980, hard disks attained real-time hike in popularity. This is because people began to use hard disks in more standard PCs. At that time, people started looking for high-capacity disk storage drives. Many PC holders asked for 120 to 250 GB of disk space. Hard disks were attaining regular demand in terms of the high storage capacity and speed. Several companies are constantly working on the development process of new hard disks for hard disk controllers. The hard disks, when coated with a sealed cover, are presented for the user's ultimate usage of data storage and speedy performance. Components of HDD. A typical HDD has two electric motors, a spindle motor that spins the disks and an actuator that positions the read-write head assembly across the spinning disks. The disk motor has an external rotor attached to the disks. In the modern drives, acceleration at the head reaches 500 GHz. The actuator is a permanent magnet and moving coil motor. This will swing the heads to the desired position. There is a voice coil which is attached to the actuator hub. Basic concepts of HDD. A hard disk is a sealed unit that contains a number of platters in a stack. The hard disk can be mounted in any manner, be it horizontal or vertical. In the number of platters, electromagnetic read-write heads are positioned. When the platter spins, the drive head moves in towards the center surface and out towards the edge. This way, the drive head covers the entire surface of the platter. Every hard disk contains platters which are further divided into tracks and sectors. These are the basic concepts of hard disk drive. Tracks and cylinders. On hard disks, the data gets stored in thin concentric bands which are termed as tracks. On a 3.5-inch hard disk, there can be more than 1,000 tracks. Tracks are designed keeping in mind the logical use rather than the physical attribute. Unlike this, a cylinder carries a set of tracks that lies in the same head position on the disk. If the disk holds 1024 cylinders, then the second last cylinder contains all the tracks at the innermost edge of each side. The tracks near the outer portion of the disk are less densely populated than the tracks located near the center of the disk. Sectors and clusters. Each track is divided into sections known as sectors. A sector is the smallest physical storage unit on the disk. A sector has a data size of power 2 and usually owns 512 byte storage capacity. Every track owns the same number of sectors. As a file is written on the disk, the file system allocates a number of clusters to store file's data. Suppose each cluster is 512 bytes and file capacity is 800 bytes, then the file system allocates 2 clusters for the file. Working of hard disk. The data on hard disk is stored in the magnetic domains on the magnetic material. Just like floppy disk, a hard disk performs a recording function through its concentric circles or tracks. The tracks are numbered from the outermost edge to the innermost edge of the platter. The tracks are further subdivided into sectors. When you initiate a command to store some data on the disk, the data flows into a cache. From there, the data is encoded using mathematically derived formulae. This is done to detect and correct possible errors from the data. Further, free sectors on the disk are selected, then the actuator moves the heads over those free sectors. This process is followed just before the writing function. When writing process is about to begin, you should ensure that the heads are not engaged in writing any data. When the writing time arrives, a pattern of electrical pulses pass through the writing element coil. This process produces a related pattern of magnetic fields. The fields alter the magnetic orientation of bits. As a result, the bits represent the data. Unlike this writing process, the reading process continues in a reverse direction. After consulting the locations of the stored data, the actuator moves ahead over those tracks wherein the chosen data is located. When the sectors receive the correct sensors, the magnetic fields from the bits induce resistivity changes. The changes locate the reading elements. The elements are further connected to electronic circuits. When the current flows from the electronic circuits, it helps in decoding the data stored in the disk. Types of HDD. Disk drives have gone through heaps of technological advancements over many years. The advancements have forced several companies to present a variety of storage options at reasonable cost. While selecting the best storage device for your needs, you need to calculate your actual requirement in terms of performance and capacity. To choose the best hard disk drive from the list of many, you need to analyze the amount of storage you require and the bit rate of data transfer. For perfect storage facility, you may select from several hard disk drives available like IDE or PATA drives, SATA, SCSI, and SAS drives. Let's look at each of them in detail. IDE drives. These drives are also known as PATA drives. These disks are installed internally. Many editors use this type of drives with DVE equipment. Generally, DVE equipment have fixed data rates that can be captured and streamlined by high-quality performance PATA drives, and that too without any difficulty. The IDE drives or PATA drives generally use 40 or 80-pin wide ribbon cables to transfer multiple bits of data. Use of one or more PATA drives on the motherboard depends upon the need of your computer. These drives offer data transfer rate of 133 MB per second. At one time, these drives had 8 bits data. To connect these drives, PATA cables are used. A single PATA cable is needed to connect 2 PATA drives named as master drive and slave drive. SATA drives. These are the serial advanced technology attachment drives. These drives are newer than PATA drives. With these drives, the mechanism is almost similar to PATA drives, but the interface differs. These drives have generally 7 pins made available with 1 meter data cable. Among the 7, 4 pins are used for sending and receiving data, and the other 3 are grounded. They offer transfer rate of 300 MB per second. Also, these drives send the data bit by bit. To connect SATA drives, SATA cables are used. With a single data cable, only one drive can be connected. These drives operate with 250 millivolts. SCSI drives. The Small Computer System Interface SCSI drives are among the fastest drives available in the list. The SCSI technology is accepted by every generation due to its better performance. These drives can be installed both internally and externally. The SCSI drive usually carries 50 to 68 pins. These drives are hot swappable. The transfer rate of these drives is 640 MB per second. To connect these drives, SCSI cables are used. With a single SCSI cable, a maximum of 16 drives can be connected. Each and every drive holds an 8-bit hexadecimal code that helps in its identification. SAS drives. The serial attached SCSI SAS drives offer 805 MB per second transfer rate. These drives rotate much faster than SATA drives. Generally, they work 2 times faster than the SATA drives. Similar to SCSI drives, these drives are hot swappable. Just like other drives, SAS drives can be connected through SAS cables. However, there is a huge difference in the number of drives connection made through a single cable. With a single SAS cable, you can connect a maximum of 128 drives. Geometry of HDD. The hard disk geometry can be understood through the summation of the organized data on the hard disk drive. The surface of the drive platter is organized with coordinates similar to a map. The data is stored in concentric tracks designed on the surface of each platter. A typical disk drive holds more than 2,000 tracks per inch. A cylinder describes a group of tracks that are located at given head positions across all the platters. For easy flow of data, tracks are further divided into sectors. When the disk surface is organized into tracks and sectors, the process is known as formatting. This process is mainly followed to address data to the platter's surface. In most PCs, sectors contain 512 bytes of user data that helps in addressing information used by the drive electronics. The disk drive controller uses the formatting information and addresses. These are used to guide data into and out of a specific location on the hard drive. Formatting of HDD. Before using a hard disk, you need to format it. The formatting of hard disk is necessary as it is the primary storage device on your computer and it needs to be cleaned to provide uninterrupted storage facility. Formatting a disk means that the disk is getting configured with the file system. This is done so that Windows can store information on the disk. To format an internal or external hard disk drive, the drive needs to be partitioned. Before applying the formatting option, you need to use a disk management tool to explore the partitioned and unpartitioned drives. To use the disk management tool, click Start, then make a right-click on the computer icon and then click Manage option in it. The computer management window will open. In the left pane of this window, you will see a section named Storage. In that, click Disk Management. When you click it, a list of connected disk drives will appear. The unpartitioned drives are marked with black bars, while partitioned drives are marked with blue bars. To format a partitioned drive, follow the below-mentioned steps. Right-click the blue bar and select Format. Under Volume label, choose a name for the partition. If you're using the drive only for the Windows, then choose NTFS for file system. Keep allocation unit size at default. Click OK. Confirm your choice. Partitioning of HDD. Partitioning a hard disk drive means dividing it into parts and making those parts available for storage functioning. There is a simple process involved in partitioning the hard disk drive. The steps are: open Disk Management window from the Computer Management utility. When Disk Management opens, 2 icons, namely Initialize and Convert Disk Wizard, will begin. Click on Next. On the option of Select Disk to Initialize tab, make sure the checkbox of Disk Hash is checked. Click Next. On the option of Select Disks to Convert, uncheck the column Disk Hash. Click Next. The section Initialize and Convert Disk Wizard is finished. Click Finish. After the option for Initialize and Convert Disk Wizard closes, find the hard drive you want to partition in the drive. Once you locate the drive, right-click on any unallocated space and choose New Partition. Click Next. Choose Primary Partition to select the partition you want to create. Select Partition Type step. In the Partition Size step, click Next to confirm the size of the partition. Follow the next step in the wizard named Assign Drive, Letter or Path. Click Next. If you would like to format the partition, follow the steps mentioned earlier. If not, choose Do Not Format this partition and then click Next. Once you click Next, a small window appears summarizing the partition done. Handling precaution of HDD. Like any other mechanical equipment, hard disk drives experience wear and tear. Some movable parts of the hard disk drives like read-write head and spindle motor are susceptible for breakdown. You should follow precautionary activities while handling hard disk drives. Hard drives can attain failure by sudden temperature and humidity changes. The temperature change can cause condensation inside the drive, causing damage to your computer as well as loss of data. Other than this, some computer application software can cause corruption of hard disk drive. Aside from this, improper shutdown of your computer can result in data loss from hard disk drive. Try to follow necessary measures to prevent data loss from your hard disk drive. Error rates and handling. Modern drives make extensive use of error correction codes. Reed-Solomon error correction is the most famous one. These store extra bits which are determined by mathematical formulas and have a specific space in HDD. In the new drives developed in 2009, it contains low-density parity check codes. This provides higher storage density available. Future development. HDD areal densities have shown a long-term compound annual growth rate, not substantively different from Moore's law, most recently in the range of 20 to 25% annually, with desktop 3.5-inch drives estimated to hit 12 TB around the year 2016. New magnetic storage technologies are being developed to support higher areal density growth and maintain the competitiveness of HDDs with potentially competitive products such as flash memory solid-state drives. These new HDD technologies include heat-assisted magnetic recording, HAMR, bit pattern recording, BPR, current perpendicular to plane giant magnetoresistance, CPP GMR heads, shingled magnetic recording, SMR. Market segments. Storage facility of different systems are desktops. They typically store between 60 GB and 4 TB and rotate at 5,400 to 10,000 RPM and have a media transfer rate of 0.5 gigabit per second or higher. Mobile laptop HDDs. They are smaller than the desktop and enterprise counterparts, tend to be slower and have lower capacity. Enterprise HDDs, typically used with multiple user computers running enterprise software. Consumer electronics HDDs. They include drives embedded into digital video recorders and automotive vehicles. The former are configured to provide a guaranteed streaming capacity, even in the face of read and write errors, while the latter are built to resist larger amounts of shock. Digital signal interface. It is a kind of display device for providing flexible digital baseband inputs or outputs for signal generators, signal analyzers, and communications testers. Its key features are to convert digital I/O signals to and from the device under test. Further, it also provides a flexible user-defined digital I/O interface settings. It makes it easier to understand, implement, and diagnose. Each device owns its own wire to the controller. It demands for no certain type of address. One can do both plugging and unplugging without any typical process. It also does not require any main switch to turn off. Despite the advantages, it carries some disadvantages also. With one wire to control the whole device, diagnoses of problems sometimes become difficult. Tape drive. It is one of the oldest backup mechanisms which is currently replaced mainly by the online storage system. The tape drive can write, store, and read data on magnetic tapes. The preliminary forms of tape drive date back to 1951 when Remington Rand first made 224 KB magnetic tape. This device is used conventionally for the storage of data offline. Even though the tapes have become outdated, companies are still researching on improving their storage capacities because of the reason that the unit cost of tape is very less. along with the feature of high stability for long archiving. Unlike the present conventional storage device, data can be stored in tape drive only sequentially. The selection of data on a disk drive is much faster, as it can move between data stored in just a few milliseconds, and this feature is completely lacking in the tapes due to its physical constraint, as the information is stored on the reels in an ordered manner. The maximum capacity of tape drives is a few terabytes in the case of uncompressed data, but usually in the range of a few megabytes. The compression rates with which the files are stored on tape, in fact, depend on the compression property of the data being stored. The tapes can be connected with the computer through a number of interfaces, mainly with an SCSI. DVD. The DVD represents a digital storage format. It came into existence in 1995. It has replaced the magnetic tapes to a great extent. There are basically two different sizes, a 12 cm type standard DVD and 8 cm type mini DVD. The storage capacity of the conventional DVDs ranges from 6.92 MIB per centimeter squared to 18.0 MIB per centimeter squared. Depending on the number of times the disc can be used, there are two types, the recordable and rewritable DVDs, with difference in many aspects like writing speed, data range, time taken for writing, and reading speed. The rewritable formats are written by laser and it uses dyes. Compared to single-layer discs, the dual-layer writing discs have more storage capacity, 8.1 versus 4.7 GB. The dual-layer discs are made by employing an additional layer over the same disc. The wavelength of the laser light used in the DVDs is 650 nm. The DVD supports both audio and video formats. The DVD form is the most accepted home video format in the United States at present. The channel configurations options of audio DVD can be adjusted from mono to surround sound system. The main successors of DVD are the Blu-ray discs and the HD DVDs. The dual-layer form of Blu-ray discs and HD DVD can store up to a data quantity of 50 GB and 30 GB, respectively. RDM. RAMA Database Manager is an embedded database management system with small footprint, ACID compliant, and high performance for use specifically in applications mainly concerning embedded systems. The main features include high-level storage management, in-memory or on-disk, networking, and exploitation of multi-core computers. RDM supports interfaces, APIs, like low-level C, API, SQL, and C++. This highly portable management system is available on operating types like Windows, Unix, and Linux. It supports the design and manipulation potentials of both non-SQL and SQL databases. The resource-restricted environments focus on non-SQL because it supports high performance. The RDM is characterized by the following features. It is a database design language, DDL, database unions, database replication, database encryption, database mirroring, application programming interfaces, and transactional file servers. These said features make RDM a widely accepted management system in many of the companies worldwide. The database mirroring replicated an exact copy of a master database. The mirroring property can be applied to maintain the database in multiple copies, which supports the updates made by the readers across multiple systems. The application of RDM extends to automotive, financial, business automation, aerospace and defense, government, medical, industrial automation, and telecommunication. The main partners and consumers of this technology include the multinational giants in the fields of industrial to aerospace engineering and IT majors like Mitsubishi Electric, Schneider Electric, and many more. Type of formatting. In a computer file, the information can be encrypted and stored in a specific way using the standard formatting technique for each file type. It denotes the way the information is stored in a digital medium. There are two types of formatting. Some types like PNG file are designed to store much defined category of data, but there are file formats designed to support the storage of multiple data types. The most popular method followed is the letters appearing at the end. The method of using the letters at the end is referred to as the use of file name extension. The examples like HTML, HTMGIF, or DOC are used widely in our computers. In the FAT file system, use the 8.3 file name composed of the identifier, extension of 8 characters, and the extension 3 characters. Since the extensions are not normalized universally, same extensions are sometimes used with different files. The second way of file formatting is based on the type of format stored on the file. The common ways of representation in the case of internal metadata include the use of file header or a magic number. In the operating system, Unix, and its derivatives, a magic number is used in formatting. There are some more different types of formatting according to the different operating systems in use. Zip drive. Zip drive represents a removable storage system of medium capacity which was introduced in late 1994 by iOmega. When it was launched, zip disks had capacities of only 100 MB, but in the later versions the capacity has been increased gradually to 250 MB and later on to 750 MB. It was a super hit in the portable storage device market in the late 1990s. The main challenges were the small floppy disks and the rewritable CDs available with very high storage capacities. Later on, with the USB drives giving the customers an opportunity to connect external devices with much more storage capacity, the zip drives were wiped off the market by early 2000. In structure, it resembled iOmega's Bernoulli box, which had two read-write heads in both drives fixed on a straight actuator hovering on top of a high-speed spinning medium attached firmly on a sturdy box. In comparison to the two disks in Bernoulli box, the zip drive had only one. The micro floppies, 9 cm, used in zip drives were much smaller than the compact disks of Bernoulli box. The cost of zip drive was much less than the Bernoulli box due to this simple design. CD drive. CD drive is an optical disk drive which uses either electromagnetic waves or laser beams very close to the visible spectrum of light to write or read the data on optical disks. In the oldest form of CD drives, the writing function was missing, but later on the CD drives with both the functions reading and writing burning incorporated were introduced. The common types of disks which can be used in these drives include Blu-ray disks, different types of DVDs, and compact disks. Apart from the general and exclusive applications in computer, the optical disk drives found a very strong position among the consumer appliances like DVD players, CD players, and DVD recorders. They are most extensively used in computers for various purposes like archiving of data, read software, record disks, and to distribute the consumer media for exchange purposes. Compared to the floppy drives and zip drives, the optical media is cheap, can handle a very high capacity of data and files. Functioning of CD drive. The main components of optical disk drive consists of an optical path usually mounted on a pickup head and containing a semiconductor laser, the laser beam guiding lens, and the photodiodes which detect the reflection of light from the surface of the disk. With the advent of more recent versions of optical disks, the wavelengths of the laser beams used in the process is changed from 780 nm to 405 nm in the Blu-ray disc. The main aspects to be noted for the proper function of the CD drive are that between the disc and the lens a correct distance has to be maintained. Secondly, the beam should be focused on the laser spots in the disc. The data stored in spiral path will be accessed by moving the head all the way through the radius of the disc and keeping the laser beam focused. The mechanism by which the recorder encodes the data on a disc is by heating selectively the different parts of the dye layer by using the laser beam. The reflectivity of the dye would be changed during this process, leading to the creation of marks represented by lands and pits on discs. The writer layer is more powerful than the reading layer. With a higher speed in writing, less time will be taken by the laser to heat an area. The normal power is around 200 MW for the writing beam. In rewritable discs, instead of dye layer, the crystalline metal complex used to cover the disc is melted with a laser beam. The lands and pits on metal alloy layer differed based on the extent the beam is exposed and can cause greater reflectivity. In dual-layered media, a polycarbonate layer separates the first semi-reflective layer and the second layer. The writing starts in the inner edge for the first layer and from the outer edge for the second layer. CD writer. The present-day computers are supplied with CD drives capable of reading and writing with the same drive. When it comes to writing, the drives are different in terms of speed at which they write on the CD. There are mainly three indications such as write once, usually represented by R for the single writing, rewrite represented by RW or RE, and read only represented by ROM for the general operations which can be performed. In general, the writing speed of 10, 12, 32 into CD drive with CD-R disks will be 12x, that is 1.76 MB per second, while the writing speed of CD-RW at 10x is 1.46 MB per second. It reads at a rate of 4.69 MB per second, a 32x speed. The process of DR writing was hectic in the beginning as it was a batch-oriented machine, which ran always with the support of special software. The process was done through a complicated procedure. First of all, the software would generate an image corresponding to the data. This has to be written in one session, otherwise the disk cannot be used again if the type of disk used is not CD-RE or CD-RW. The archiving was possible only with the rewritable CDs. The later technology used a method called packet writing. In packet writing, the data to be transferred to the disks were written in packets or in small bursts. The arrangement was bottom-up and the process could be stopped at any time. A little more advanced version, the fixed-length packet writing, divides the disk into fixed-size packets. This process, even though it reduced the capacity of the disk, allowed the individual packet to be written and stopped without affecting the other packets. Functioning of the CD writer. The key components of the optical disk drives are the same for CD drive and CD writer. The main difference is the fact that the speed with which the laser beam passes through the disk. There are three main dyes used in CDs. Cyanine dye. Cyanine represents the oldest method of coating, which leaves the disk with characteristic green color. The earlier versions of the disk coated with cyanine were not suitable for archiving as the dye was very unstable. Later, the hybrid-based dyes were invented in that the cyanine was stabilized using certain metals. The UV sensitivity of cyanine made things worse, and the preventive measures to protect the writing surface from scratch often led to distortion of data by exposure to sunlight. Cyanine dye. The writing is done on the pre-grooved track of the blank disk. By the action of the laser beams, the chemical nature of the dye is changed. So the writing process produces reflectivity on the disk through the changes it renders to the dye's chemical properties. By using less power of the laser, the CD-R can be read back. Handling of CD drive and CD writer. There is a need to handle CD drive and CD writer carefully for longer life by preventing them from any kind of damage. In order to take preventive measures, there is a need to take suitable precautionary measures for the CD drive and writer. Some of the important handling precautions are: protect writing surface from scratches, fingerprints, and dirt, clean dirty disks with soft dry cloth, never expose disks to direct sunlight, or leave them in a hot or humid location. Do not allow label side to get scratched and try to protect this region. Use only quick-drying permanent markers to write on disks. Avoid any marker containing non-drying ink, as ink may eventually eat through the disk surface and damage your data. Do not use ballpoint or other sharp-tipped pens, as they may scratch through the protective coating and damage your data. Use labels which are designed for recordable CDs. Never try to remove a label. The lacquer or some of the reflecting surface might be torn off. Store and ship CDs and DVDs in containers only. Never allow them to get stacked together. Keyboard. It is an input device that owns the typewriter-like keys which are used to enter data into the computer. It is a device that uses arrangement of buttons or keys which act as electronic switches. The switches are used to enter commands, text, or instructions into the computer. Due to the decline faced by several traditional type of input devices like punch cards, these typewriter-style keyboards have attained the position of main input devices for computers. A keyboard actually carries characters engraved or printed on it. When a key is pressed, it actually represents a symbol. To present a sequence of words, a sequence of symbols is pressed. The keyboard contains letters, numbers, and special characters, which can be inserted through special key inputs. The keys on computer keyboards are classified as alphanumeric keys, letters and numbers, punctuation keys, colon, semicolon, comma, and so on, and special keys, function key, control key, arrows key, and so on. Despite the development of several input devices, like mouse, pen drives, and many more, keyboard remains the most commonly used and most versatile device used for direct input of data made on the computer. History of keyboard. Previously, when keyboard text entry devices were searched, it resembled a typewriter keyboard. From the utilities offered by two input devices named teleprinters and key punchers, the computer keyboard appeared as the input device that is used to input electromagnetic data into the computer. During 1870s, teleprinter-like devices were used to type and transfer text data from the keyboard, which was immediately copied and displayed on the screen. By 1930s, first key punch devices were introduced in which text keys and numbers were involved to make it the first normal typewriter. The keyboard on the teleprinter played an important role in maintaining input devices for the 20th century. The keyboard on the punch key devices is used to make data entry and storage. From the 1940s to the 1960s, typewriters were the main means of data entry and output for computing. During that time, these typewriters failed to meet the deadlines for storage growth experienced by the industry. To meet the growing demand, electronic developments were initiated in which computer terminals were improved and presented in the modern-day keyboards. By this time, keyboards have attained the top position among mobile personal computing devices like smartphones and tablets. Uses of keyboard. Unlike traditional typewriters, modern-day keyboards are modeled with many inputs just similar to teleprinter keyboards. Many keyboards are available all around the world, but QWERTY keyboards are used most prominently. You can find a variety of keyboards like wired keyboard, wireless keyboard, connecting keyboard via Bluetooth, and many more. Wired keyboards are connected to a computer system by a USB port, while connection with old PCs can be made by a port embedded on the back of UPS. The keyboard is used to accomplish many tasks. The tasks vary, such as typing the documents, accessing menus, manipulating the menus, and many more. Despite the variety of uses offered by a keyboard, it is mainly known for performing its main operation, that is, typing the data. It is basically termed as the external device that is used to type the data into a variety of systems. The systems may be a computer device, mobile device, and other electronic machines. These devices obtain data by the use of alphanumeric and other special keys. Classification of keyboard. There are various types of keyboard. Some are wireless that utilize some kind of infrared beam that helps in transferring the data into the computer. Aside from these, there are some other types of keyboard that are made to give the users relief from the pressure suffered on hands. The modern-day keyboards are designed specifically for those people who spend most of the time in front of the PCs doing data transferring job. Classification by function of extra keys, classification by key switches, classification by size. Classification by function of extra keys. In this type multimedia computer keyboard, internet keyboards, etc. get such names as they carry multimedia, internet, and office control buttons. These types of keyboards are generally used with PCs and not with mobile devices. Classification by keys switches. In this section, membrane keyboard, dome switch keyboard, capacitive keyboard, laser keyboard, and similar types are popular. Classification by size. In this group, we have standard keyboard, laptop size keyboard, thumb size keyboard, and numeric keyboard. Standard keyboards are used with PC and laptop size keyboards are used for the laptop. However, thumb size keyboard can be carried forward anywhere as per need. Some types of keyboards are there which are difficult to classify under a particular head. They are compact keyboard, mini keyboard, and slim keyboard. Types of keyboard. Ever since the advent of computers, there has been much advancement depending upon the ease and comfort demanded by the users. Daily, one or the other computer hardware and software devices attain some development, updating which provide ease to the users in their working. Ever since the keyboards were developed to perform the task of transferring data into the computer, they've also seen several improvements in layout and designing. To meet the regular upgraded demand of the users, several manufacturers have introduced a variety of keyboards. These keyboards are made for both common as well as special needs of the users. Some of these keyboards are standard keyboard, ergonomic keyboard, wireless keyboard, compact keyboard, internet keyboard, gaming keyboard, Standard keyboard. The standard keyboard has been popular for the last 20 years. The common number of keys on this standard keyboard is 105. However, the older version of keyboard had somewhere between 95 to 103 keys. These standard keyboards are the basic form of keyboard, but they differ in their layouts as per the placement of keys. QWERTY keyboards are the most common and most popular form of standard keyboard. In this type, 6 alphabets Q, W, E, R, T, and Y are assembled in the first row. Another type of keyboard used commonly is A, Z, E, R, T, Y. In this type, alphabets A, Z, E, R, T, and Y are arranged in the first row. A, Z, E, R, T, Y form of keyboards are used in French countries, while QWERTY keyboards are used in other countries, including India. Ergonomic keyboard. Ergonomics is a study of methods that are able to reduce stress on muscles. This is done to avoid repetitive strain injury. The study mostly deals with optimizing the posture and technique while working on computer systems. This is so because the work on computer system can be carried out in an easy manner without putting strain on muscles or joints. These type of keyboards are designed in such a manner that the least amount of effort is put on fingers and wrist while working. This form of keyboard is prevalent due to the benefit it offers to the users. It helps in preventing the numbness and tingling sensation in the hands and fingers, which usually occur while typing is done for long durations. You can find ergonomic keyboards in two forms, either as a single piece, wherein a group of keys have been split in the way which puts least stress on fingers and wrist, or in the form of separate pieces, wherein each piece holds a group of keys. The keys are settled at the angle that can be adjusted as per the convenience of the user. However, these keyboards are different from the keyboards that contain all sorts of group keys in one piece. Wireless keyboard. These keyboards need not ask for any wired treatment to get connected to the computer system. These types of wireless keyboards are quite prevalent among modern-day users. They find these very convenient to get connected with the computer. There are 3 connection types available for these wireless keyboards, namely Bluetooth, infrared, and radio frequency. Every type of wireless keyboard demands external power to function. Among the 3 types of wireless keyboard connections, Bluetooth connections are the best. This connection works even from a distance of around 30 feet, and moreover, most devices are compatible with Bluetooth technology. Unlike Bluetooth connections, the radio frequency connections work in a limited range of about 6 feet. These type of connections are much cheaper than Bluetooth connections, but more effective than infrared connections. The infrared connections are cheaper than Bluetooth connections, but they are less efficient than both the other types of connections. Gaming keyboard. As its name suggests, gaming keyboards are designed specifically for gamers. They include the features that help in enhancing the gaming experience. Gamers enjoy a comfortable gaming experience with the help of this keyboard. These types of keyboard include features like volume control, key lighting, programmable keys, and touchscreens that help in making the gaming more comfortable. These type of keyboards come in varied shapes and sizes. They range between rounds to V-shaped keyboards. Also, some special games are operated with specifically designed keyboards. Function of keyboard. The function of a computer keyboard is to enter commands, text, and other forms of data, typically by pressing suitable keys on the keyboards. The text or commands are typed into a word processor, text editor, or other programs. In modern computers, the press keys are interpreted as per the software on which it works. Each and every key on a computer keyboard is different, which in turn guides the software with regard to further pressing of the keys. The keyboard is utilized for gaming also. However, gaming on computers can be done either through regular keyboards or through special keyboards loaded with gaming features. The function of keyboard scrolls around, giving the commands to the operating system of the computer. In cases of any difficulty, the command involves the Ctrl-Alt-Delete combination command that is given to Windows. This command either brings the task window or even helps in shutting down the window. The keyboard can easily be connected to the computer. Installation of a keyboard. Installation of PC computer keyboard is done either through PS2 port or USB connection. While connecting the keyboard by PS2 connection, you must ensure that the computer is off. While installing the keyboard by USB port, you can keep the computer either off or on. When you're connecting the keyboard with the PS2 port, be sure to check the right port is available at the back of your computer. Match the pins on the keyboard port and the port on the computer and join them carefully. When you open the computer, you will find the keyboard is connected. You can directly connect your keyboard with a USB port available in the front of the computer. In case you're using a USB hub, then connect your keyboard with the hub. In case your keyboard holds some special keys or buttons or some special features like touchscreen, then to make it work properly, you may install some software and drivers. These drivers will facilitate smooth functioning with the keyboard. Interfacing of keyboard. Interfacing a keyboard involves two main parts. They are getting the key code for valid key press. Under this, a method is followed in which a key press is found out by driving low individual rows and watching the columns. In this method, detection is made on the pressing of valid keys at one time, despite getting connected with multiple keys. Encapsulating the key code obtained into the standard keyboard HID descriptor format. In this, recognition is necessary that confirms that the keyboard runs on the standard keyboard HID descriptor format. Mouse. A mouse is an input device that is designed to control the objects on the computer screen. It helps in controlling the movement of the cursor on the display screen. The mouse is basically a small object which can be rolled along a flat or hard surface. The pointer on the display screen moves in the same direction as the mouse. A mouse normally contains one button and many times it has three. Basically, a mouse is an object that is held in one's hand with control over the pointer specified on the display. The functioning of the button depends on what sort of program is running. Some computer mouses have a scroll button that helps in scrolling long documents. The mouse comes in many shapes and sizes. Importance of a mouse. A computer mouse is quite important to the computer. The mouse is used as a pointing device and a cursor. It is a prerequisite to the Windows operating system. When the mouse is moved, it moves a cursor on your monitor screen. The functions of a computer mouse are multifaceted. It is used for clicking, copying, dragging, and executing programs. There are several combinations of clicks and buttons that can help you perform several specific functions. The computer mouse can be wired to the computer or wireless. History of a mouse. Today, the mouse is an essential input device for all modern computers. But a few years back, computers had no mouse and no graphical user interface. Data was entered by typing commands on a keyboard. The mouse was invented by Douglas Engelbart in 1964 and consisted of a wooden shell, circuit board, and two metal wheels that came in contact with the surface it was being used on. Some 8 years later, in 1972, Bill English developed the design further by inventing what is known as the ball mouse. This is the mouse that we know today. The ball replaced the wheels and was capable of monitoring movement in any direction. The ball came into contact with two rollers that in turn spun wheels with graduations on them that could be turned into electrical pulses representing direction and speed. History of a mouse. Optical mouse. Another 8 years later, an optical mouse was developed around 1980. This eliminated the ball, which often became dirty from rolling around on the desktop, which affected the operation negatively. However, they were far too expensive to be used widely. In fact, it wasn't until around 1998, with the increase in microcontroller processing power and the reduction in component costs, that optical mouses became a commercially viable alternative to the ball mouse and infiltrated the mass consumer market. Today, the optical mouse has completely replaced the ball mouse. It is being supplied as standard with all new computers. Before the advent of Graphical User Interface or GUI, you could interface with the computer through text commands. You had to be a computer programmer to use the computer. After GUI was introduced, interacting with the computer became easier. GUI allowed for unparalleled productivity enhancements and opened up computing to the masses. However, with the GUI came the need for a new way to interface. The mouse became the primary interface instead of the keyboard. You move the mouse around your desktop and the cursor on the screen moves correspondingly. So the GUI was an ergonomic breakthrough, and so was a mouse. Problems of using a mouse. Unfortunately, the consequences of relying on such an interface can be ergonomically bad. Repetitive stress injuries, such as mouse arm, tendinitis, or bursitis, can be a direct result of using a mouse. Additionally, so much work is done on the computer that most people spend the majority of the day in front of one, which can lead to eye strain, back strain, and neck strain. Holding a mouse. The mouse can easily fit in the palm of your hand. Generally, all computer mouse varieties are made for right-hand dominant use, but if needed, they can easily be customized for left-hand users. While holding the mouse with your palm, notice that the index finger lands over the left mouse button and the rest of your hand lightly grips the mouse. To use the wheel or the right mouse button, you may use either your middle finger or your ring finger. While holding the mouse, your hand cups the mouse and your fingers should be relaxed. Holding a mouse. Guidelines. When you hold a mouse, your arm may rest on the table. It's not that you need to hold, squeeze, or clench the mouse. Rather, you need to guide the mouse to move in the desired direction. While holding the mouse, you will find plenty of room for full movement. You need not to put force on your wrist. Rather, your shoulder and elbow will work for you in moving the mouse around the mouse pad or table. To guide your mouse, you must use a mouse pad. The pad will allow you a clean and smooth surface to move your mouse. To readjust your position over the mouse pad, you may pick up your mouse and place it back down in the middle of your mouse pad. Types of mouse. There are many types of mouse available for computing usage. The most common computer mouse is connected by a cable and has a ball at the bottom of the device. Some mouses have a scroll wheel between their left and right mouse buttons. Most common computers use this type of mouse. Apart from this, there are several types of mouse available for the users, like cordless mouse, mouse with a trackball on top, touchpad, and even mouse operated by foot. Operating the mouse. When you move the mouse, a pointer called mouse pointer moves on the screen, and it is used to point to things on the screen. Let's find out more about the uses of a mouse. Move. Moving the mouse is nothing but dragging the mouse on the mouse pad so that the mouse pointer moves in the direction you want without touching the buttons. This action allows you to point to things on the screen. Click. Clicking is used to select an object on the screen. To do this, first you need to make the pointer point to the object and then press the left button once and release the button immediately. Click and drag. Click and drag is used to move an object from one place to another. To do this, you need to hold the left button down, and while holding it down, you have to move the mouse to the place you want. Right-click. If you point to an item and click on the right button, you will be provided with a context-sensitive menu. This menu provides almost all the facilities offered by menu as well as toolbars. Double-click. Double-clicking is used to start the applications. It's the same as clicking, but here you need to press the left button twice in quick succession. It requires some practice for the new users. Scroll wheel. If your mouse has a scroll wheel, you can use it to scroll through documents and web pages. To scroll down, roll the wheel toward you. To scroll up, roll the wheel forward or away from you. There are various types of mouses available. You can select the type of computer mouse that best suits your requirement. Mechanical mouse. Houses a hard rubber ball that rolls as the mouse is moved. Sensors inside the mouse body detect the movement and translate it into information that the computer interprets. Optical mouse uses an LED sensor to detect the tabletop movement and then sends off that information to the computer for merry munching. Wireless mouse. The mouse relays a signal to the base station wired to the computer's mouse port. The cordless mouse requires power, which comes in the form of batteries. Trackball mouse. Rather than roll the mouse around, you use your thumb or index finger to roll a ball on top of the mouse. The whole contraption stays stationary, so it doesn't need a lot of room, and its cord never gets tangled. Stylus mouse. Looks like a pen and draws on a special pad. Cordless 3D mouse. This kind of mouse can be pointed at the computer screen like a TV remote. Types of mouse. Traditional. The traditional mouse is the most affordable type of computer mouse among the wide variety available in the market. It has quite a simple construction which makes it convenient for the users. The mouse connects to your personal computer via the mouse port. Some computers use a USB connection to connect the mouse. To employ this type of mouse with the computer system, no special application is needed. Besides this simple classification, the mouse can be cleaned through a simple process. You can clean the mouse using a static-free cloth. It eliminates harm to your mouse, thereby preventing buildup of dust. Types of mouse. Optical mouse. In modern technical world, the optical mouse is quite common in most computer systems. They work efficiently because they don't have the ball found in the traditional mouse. The majority of optical mouses are built to be ergonomic, so you are able to make use of them very comfortably. They are especially appropriate for users with arthritis. These mouses are less vulnerable to collecting dust than traditional mouse and require less cleaning. Most optical mouses hook up to the computer through a USB port. Special software usually is necessary if you do not need advanced functions enabled for the mouse. You can enable any special function that you want your mouse to accomplish when using the driver CD that comes along with the mouse. Types of mouse. Wireless mouse. The wireless mouse can be connected to the computer without cables. That is very useful for gamers as well as others who want room to freely move their mouse. A button talks to the computer with the infrared port that you can attach yourself. Some newer laptops consist of built-in infrared ports where you can start using the mouse without any special hardware. These sorts of mouse include the necessary driver software. You will normally be able to start using your brand new mouse in the first minutes. Wireless mouses are optical, offering easy movement. Many wireless mouses are purchased along with a wireless keyboard. If you own a large monitor, you can sit back and use this mouse effectively from a distant place. Types of mouse. Laptop mouse. A laptop mouse has numerous identical features as a desktop mouse. They have a more compact design that's well suited to smaller spaces that laptops are utilized in. These mouses are ideal for laptop users unaccustomed to trackpads. Additionally, they are useful if your trackpad fails and you have no way of changing it instantly. A laptop mouse uses a retractable cord and has a USB connection, or it may include wireless connection. Uses of a mouse. The mouse can be used to copy any text, extend the selected text, and paste text. Apart from this, it can be used to bring up control menus as well as select or move other GUI components. The left side button of a mouse can be used to initiate a selection. If the mouse button is held and dragged downside, it will select the text in the given context of lines. If this button is double-clicked, it will select the specific line or group of words. Apart from this, the right button of the mouse is used to extend the selected text. To extend the selections, scroll the mouse to the place you wish to extend and then click the right button. The mouse buttons are also used to paste the content. You can simultaneously use left and right button to copy the text and paste it wherever you want. Similar functionality can be followed while pasting any particular file or icon from one place to another on the window. If you fail to utilize the left and right mouse buttons, you may use the middle button on the mouse. If you click the middle button, the current selection gets pasted in the window at the desirable position. Function of a mouse. The function of a mouse is to position the cursor on the computer screen. It enables the users to move the cursor smoothly across a graphic user interface. It basically works as an input device. It is used for selecting, dragging, and clicking. It allows the users to switch between applications, select options, and move around the screens with complete accuracy and flexibility. It can be used further to move and search the options available on websites, menus, and many other tasks which are almost impossible or difficult to do with the keyboard. Interfacing the mouse. The PS2 mouse uses the PS2 synchronous bidirectional serial communication protocol. Internally, the mouse contains a ball that rolls two slotted wheels. The wheels are connected to two optical encoders. The two encoders sense X and Y motion by counting pulses when the wheels move. It also contains 2 or 3 push buttons that can be read by the system and a single-chip microcontroller. The microcontroller in the mouse sends data packets to the computer, reporting movement and button status. It is necessary for the computer, or in this case the flex chips, to send the mouse an initialization command to have it start sending mouse data packets. This makes interfacing to the mouse more difficult than interfacing to the keyboard. Installing the mouse. Installation of a mouse is done by the following easy process. When a traditional mouse is connected to the computer, a few simple steps are followed. The process of initialization begins with connecting the mouse with the port available at the back of a computer. When the verification to the correct port is done, the mouse can be installed easily. When the USB mouse is installed, it can be done through connecting it with the USB port available either at the back or in front of the computer. A serial mouse gets connected with the system through the serial port available at the back of the computer. If the computer holds 2 serial ports, users are advised to connect the mouse to the first serial connection. While installing both types of mouse, only a single precaution is followed. It is better to switch off the computer while installing a serial mouse or traditional mouse to the computer system. However, This tip is not necessary with the USB mouse. Conclusion. In this chapter, the users have covered the following aspects of drive systems: various parts of FDD, types of floppies, geometry of floppy, various recording formats, interface signals, floppy drive alignment, track 0, adjustment, formatting of floppies. Types of hard disk drives: IDE, EIDE, SCSI. Geometry of hard disk drives, types of formatting, partitioning and handling of hard disk drive, zip drive functioning, CD drive and CD writer functioning, handling and repair. Mouse and keyboard, wired and wireless types, basic functioning, interfacing and installation.